Okay, so the building committee made out Father George Johnson, Father Christopher, John Hume, myself, and John Peter Thompson. Some of the slides you have seen a few years ago, I have updated some. And we'll start from the beginning, or from the beginning of the parish hall property. So St. Joseph's Chapel we received in 2009, and it was a miracle, and we have been walking with the miracles ever since. This was a gift from Christian Brothers. That's what it looked like, boarded up. Very different from what we have now. Look at those windows on the sides, on the top, dilapidated wood, all of it. Then, in the last 13 years, we have been receiving grants from Maryland Historic Commission.
No, Prince George's County Historic Preservation Commission.
What he said. So, first every year, then every 2 years, we have been receiving some money, different amounts. 7 grants so far, totaling about $300,000 that allowed us to go from the picture on the left to the picture on the right. We have replaced windows, restored wood, fixed the brick, removed the concrete, repaired roof, then replaced part of the roof. So it looks a lot different, or much better than what it was when we got it. That is not only people who come do the work. Every so often, weekly, monthly, you hear from John Hume a call, come and help work. That serves a lot of purposes. A lot of the work that has been done on the land, inside the chapel, organizing the chapel, cleaning the chapel, has been done by the people of this parish, by friends of the parish. So often on Saturdays, we come and do what we can to maintain the property with our own effort. It also counts, so the grants we get require a 10% contribution of our own. So they only give money if we promise to contribute on our own. This can be money, but it also can be actual labor. So John Hume keeps track of everybody who comes, how many hours you work, multiplies by some generous per hour allowance to get an equivalent of some monetary contributions to the grant. We, several years ago, the story, the history of our parish is really inspiring. The history of this land, this property, that comes from Admiral Ammon and friend of President Grant, like all these things that come together in that place. It's really amazing. Us coming into this story is also really amazing, especially with gifts, yes. And we made a video to share. It's 13 minutes. If you haven't seen it, go and see it. It's on the front page of our website. It talks about where we started, how we got there. It talks about the project, the building, the hopes, and I really like it. There's some of us who are there. You'll see. So it's really nice. So it was like this for 8 years. We were thinking what to do. There were many ideas, how to restore, what to build, what to do and what not to do. And finally in 2017, a little earlier, another God's will, we were introduced to Andrew Gould, who is a world-renowned Orthodox architect. And he came here, he looked at the property, and long story short, he gave a talk here on the vision for our parish. We have a 2-part video on our website as well of him talking about what his vision is for the land, for the chapel, for the parish hall. We hired him to be our designer and architect, and he produced this drawing and the schematics of our future parish hall. In 2017, October, we start another era of our property history, and that is the building of the parish hall. So, 2017, I'll give you a little rundown of the people who are involved in all this effort. So in 2017, Andrew Gould gave his talk, his vision, started drawing his design, started drawing his schematics, and since then he's been working with other people, with us, consulting and working with other people. So because he is, in North or South Carolina? One of the Carolinas. South Carolina, yes.
Near Charleston.
We needed an architect of record, it's called. So, architectural company that works here in Maryland, licensed to work in Maryland. And on some search and recommendations, we found Spire Architecture. In 2019, we hired Spire to be the architect of record. They work with Andrew, and they make Andrew's vision come to life. So they now make technical drawings from his 3D drawings. They talk with officials. They develop a plan. They are our point of contact when we need to hire other people. So they helped us find engineers. They, whatever we want, we run through them, and they connect us in a way. So they coordinate other team members. So we started getting all the paperwork necessary to begin the process of obtaining all the necessary permits. In that process, we hired, with Spire's help, the Land Tech. That's a company that is dealing with engineering side of things. There's a paper under the shaped donation box that shows the plan. That's their doing. They do things like this. So they measure land, they provide site plans, anything engineering that has to do with the land, they go through this. So what kind of soil, how we are going to measure stormwater, how we're going to comply with environmental standards. They produced, somewhere we have 2 big binders of stuff that they submitted to the state and the county so that we do get our permits. So this is what they are responsible for. Kimberly, the Land Tech representative, all these people, Land Tech, Spire, us, meet every Friday, representative of all of them every Friday for the last 5 years, to be on the same page. So we really like them. They are doing a great job. They answer questions. They're very responsive. They're very responsible. Land Tech is managing people like, recently we needed the company to come and find water, yes. So if there are any pipes left, if there was any water before, so the special company comes and looks for things that may be left in the ground. So they would be the ones hiring them and managing them. They would, or somehow we discovered we had a abandoned well on the property. So they would be the people who would find, who would have to do whatever is necessary for us to clear that well. So Kim is in charge of everything that now has to do with any drawings, any plans that have to do with the land. Spire, building, Land Tech, land. So we got to the point where big binders of stuff has been submitted, and now Kim is overseeing the process of our plans approved by the officials. She's, submitting things for review, reviewing things, so she's leading that. And we're at the point where once this is done, we'll be ready to build. And so last year, beginning of this year, we started looking for a general contractor, so the person who will actually be building. And we also, the builder is needed so that we get the actual estimate, the actual numbers and plans that we can take to the bank and ask for the money to build. And so, again, we got a few bids. We didn't like the bids, we didn't like the people. And by God's grace, no less, review, it's a building group, it's a construction company. They called Spire and said, we're looking for business in Maryland. Do you have any? And they send their pictures of what they do, and they build specifically what we're looking for, the timber frame buildings, just like we need. And so we talked with Spire. Spire said, sure, send us your proposal. So they told them what we needed. They sent us I have a proposal. If you want to see, it's really cute. In the end, it's really in the end, they have several projects that they built with pictures, and they're really nice. They do things like, doing retreat centers and restoring barns and restoring old things and building the things that look very much like what Andrew Gould drew over there. And they sent really quickly and with the proper, we liked what they said, we liked how they said it, introduced the team, introduced their qualifications, and it all fit. And so we hired them. For now, their first job is in this bid and this proposal, the first one. They did run the initial estimate of what the building will cost us, what the stages are. So I'll tell you, suspense. But once we agreed to work with them, their first order of business is to actually get down to business and calculate what it actually is going to cost. So right now, this is what they're doing, and they will be our general contractor. So we asked them to be managing everybody else who will be, they will be like supervising land people or timber deliveries or truck drive, like everybody who needs to be involved in the project they will be our point of contact who will be in charge, so we don't have to do it ourselves. And all through this time, we had Shipley and Horn, they are land use attorneys. Mr. Shipley, I think Father George said it 100 times, but his, father, grandfather?
Yes, his grandfather was one of the bricklayers of the chapel.
So his grandfather was one of the bricklayers for this, our chapel. So Mr. Shipley himself donates all his time. He's not charging us for his time, and he's one of the highest paid people in his company. Sometimes we do still pay them because he doesn't do everything himself. So his people work, and we pay his people. But when he does stuff, he doesn't.
Yeah, he's 89, so
He's 89.
he's doing great.
So we'd like to build it fast before we lose
Before he
the.
joins his grandfather.
So this is Spire Architecture. They got something like that from Andrew Gould, and now they started producing actual. In the computer, this is all things they do that they can look at different projections, strip layers, add layers. So once I think they gave us a little demonstration of how they said, well, let's remove all the wood, and so all the sticks that are left standing. Let's add all the wood. Let's add trees. Let's remove this and this. So they need this sort of layout for them to. This is what actual work looks like for architects, and for them to make the building come to life. Okay, now, so this is what Land Tech and Spire is a colored picture. So this is when they all come together, and this is it gives us a vision to what we have now to our land. So to give you an idea, the roundabout and the daycare, whatever, the Emmondale Road is somewhere here. So you drive, there's a roundabout with the statue of Joseph.
Well, there's a statue of St. John Baptist de La Salle,
Oh yeah.
the founder of the Christian Brotherhood.
So then you go here, right here, the cemetery is here. This is where our chapel is. This is the big tree now. So this is where the parish hall will be. So the plan is chapel, you walk outside, then there will be a little garden. You pass through the garden and you enter the parish hall from right here. So right now there's walnut here, and then there's the big land. We had our COVID villages right here. That's to orient you, and then there's, the proposed parking lot for now will be here. So there's still land left. The trees are now here. This is where we put our
walnuts.
Walnuts and little sticks. So this is the plan for where things will be. And of course, all these things is what Land Tech does. So they measure things, they say pipes run here, asphalt things here, we remove things here, we don't remove things here. So Land Tech is responsible for this, and Spire is responsible for things.
Will we have a parking lot?
We will have a parking lot because it's not a house, it's a building for many people were required. There's like a formula that relates. Well,
Right now it's there.
That's it, over there.
that's our like there is a formula that relates the occupancy of the building to how many spaces you need to occupy the building. So parking lot, we need to consider many things like for example, the disabled access and the grading of the land. Like you don't want people to just fly downhill in their wheelchairs. So it has to be accessible from all sides. There will be some parking spaces on the left where we have it at the cemetery drive right now for deliveries and a couple spaces, but the major parking lot so far we will have it over there. So also a thing that happened is we dedicated the parish hall, the future parish hall, to the Mother of God and her streaming Hawaiian overnight. She came several times. The last visit to the chapel this year, the icon streamed more abundantly, and so John, we have now little stakes. The sticks that mark the corners, the white sticks that mark the corners of the future parish hall. If you haven't been there, you can go and see and orient yourself to get some idea. So the icon bless the place, bless the corners. The wonder-working screwed icon of the Mother of God also came last week, December 3rd, to also bless the project and the parish. So where we're now, building. A set of permits is in the works. That's what Land Tech is doing. We expect them soon. I don't know, any day now. The architects is now working with the builders to finalize the plan, to finalize the details of the construction drawings, because we occasionally hear them talking in the meetings between themselves how, you know, in your drawing I found a gap between boards of 2 inches. We need to move things around to like make sure things stick together the way they should be sticking together. And so they are now finalizing the drawings, and peer review needs that done so that they can finish this round of pricing, because they need to take into account, you know, sizes of boards, some of the sizes of 2x4s, because all of this, as it turns out, you know, the number of those logs affects how big, how heavy the building's gonna be, and that affects what kind of foundation we need for this kind of heavy building. So things are connected. And for that, this is what their mission now. And they need to develop a project plan. At their first proposal, they estimated a building cost to be $1.7 million. We got several quotes for land work, which is to move the earth, to build, you know, drains, parking lots, whatever else needs to be done. That's another $36,000 or $60,000 for land work. So we're looking at around $2 million, somewhere in that vicinity. We would like the actual pricing soon, and after we, you know, got over initial skipped heartbeat, we got an idea that we'd like to be building and financing it probably in stages, so that we have to understand, they have to tell us how we can break this down, so that, you know, if the land work is $300,000 or $400,000, can we get a loan for that without taking out the whole $2 million, and then after that is done, we can, you know, step by step increase our financing. We are now looking at all these options. We want their help. We need their help to tell us what can and cannot be done. Some things can stand for a while between stages. Some things cannot stand between stages. Once you start building the building, you don't want to leave it without a roof for a while. But once you cut down the trees, the land can stand there for a while. So that's where we are with that project. And also, we are working right now. We met the arborist, and we are talking with Orthodox, with their contacts, to get estimates on tree removal. Tree removal is the first stage. This is where it all starts, and so it begins. So this is where we are now with the beginning of the process. The big walnut tree that's in the middle, the biggest tree in the land, will be removed. The one next to it will be removed. So there are several trees that will be gone because their apparently root system is affected too much by where the building's going to be. So we're told they will not survive anyway, and they are overhanging the limbs over the whole construction, so nothing of it is safe. They have to go. All right, building. Now, where we are now fundraising. The fundraising committee often meets as well, not every week, but getting there. So there is Matushka Deborah, myself, Father Christopher, John Peter, Zosima, so Ralph Sidway. He is a friend of the parish. He came here several times. He is managing our website. So the website, he did it. Marina Vera, so we also meet. And so this is what fundraising committee has been doing lately. So what we are doing now is we are working to understand our options for building in stages, financing in stages, where the money is going to go. And things need to come in sequence. For example, stages could be tree removal, then land work, regrading, then building construction, and then adding everything else, I don't know, parking lot, gardens, that has to go away. To go to the bank, we need some things that money estimate from court review, property appraisal, and we got an application before, so the treasurer has to prepare the last 3 years of financial documents, membership. There's like a application form that has to go through. I know. All right, so another thing that we are doing in parallel is we are making a booklet or binder or informational material that will have all the necessary information organized well enough so that when we know the numbers, when we talk to the bank, we can have it and we will be ready to approach people asking for donations, so we need to be ready for that. And the fundraising strategy is coming together a little bit. We understand that it will have several sources of funds, so bank loan is one of them, different sizes of donations or loans from individuals, and we notice that every time we do something, people donate money. It can be anything big or small, a talk, a request, matching grant, concert, anything else. As long as we show up, things happen. And so we just have to keep going, keep telling people, keep asking for money, and they will come together. So once we have all these pieces together, once we talk to the bank, once we get numbers, once we understand what the stages are, I will be doing another presentation that will present the actual fundraising strategy. Once we know how much, what kind we need, then this is what we'll talk money in a lot more detail. For now, this is the end of my talk, and I can ask questions.
How much money do you have saved?
Okay, right now we have about $100,000 in the building fund in the bank.
How many parking spots do we know?
20 something.
Enough.
Enough, yeah, but they told us. I don't know if we have it.
The back light too, please.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Back wall switch on, please.
30-ish. 30-ish. Half, yes.
So how much do you have in
We need about $2 million. We have about 100,000.
So you were saying that, like, for example, we might get a loan for just the land work. How does that work? Because, like, I thought the purpose of the loan was that once we move over and we stop paying rent here, we'll have a greater ability to pay off our loan. But if we get a loan just for the land work, we're not going to be able to move.
Well, that's why we want to understand stages, and we want to understand our financing options before we move, because to borrow $2 million, we cannot borrow the whole $2 million. That would be a payment of $20,000 a month. We cannot afford that. So that's why we're looking at, in parallel, borrowing money, paying it off, fundraising, and doing it like sequentially. Maybe if we borrow smaller chunk first, we pay it off a little bit. We know how much we need next. Refinance. I don't know. These are all the ideas that should come together as we talk to the bank, to the
bank will also have suggestions for staging loans, because they're used to doing that.
Yes. So the construction loan, we think it should include our rent in it, so that we don't have to pay the loan and the rent. So the rent should be folded into the loan. That's what we understand from what we read so far. But we have to do it in a way that doesn't bankrupt us from, getting a huge loan at once.
Because we'll see what the bank says it is.
Yes, so we need to know what the stages are, how much they cost, how long can we wait between them, and what the bank can offer us in terms of.
For example, after the land grading is done, John Peter says we can plant grass seed while we're waiting. So, on the land that's been properly graded for the building.
Once you have all the money, how long does it take for the whole building to
About a year.
About a year?
So we're waiting for a really big donation, and the keys to
That's
the
really
kingdom.
what I was just about
We're
to
waiting
say.
for the big donation.
Well, nobody should be under any illusions about this. We aren't going to find some magical loan from the bank that's going to make the payment $1,500 a month. It's not going to happen unless we have a sizable enough donation that would make up all of that gap between where we are now and where we need to be to pay the same amount per month as a mortgage as we're paying now in rent.
As the guy in the big fat Greek wedding said, you need money? The answer is yes.
So, anyone know any rich Greeks? If you do, have a word of the year. There's absolutely no shame in it, because the Lord has blessed some people to be stewards, and they're good stewards.
Miss Chocolo.
Yes,
And once we have our booklet ready, we will share
Yeah,
it
we
with her.
want to be ready to go. So we may have a couple ideas, but we want to be ready with actual numbers, actual information to know what we're asking for. And we haven't done yet because before when we actually asked, there were a few Greek people who came forward and loaned us $40,000, $80,000,
Wow.
including one of them forgave the big loan. And
Mrs. Sokolows has already been a massive benefactor for the church, and you should remember her every morning when you pray for benefactors.
yeah, so.
Yeah.
But it has to be something specific. Right now, we're not ready to go and actually ask. So once we are, we will. But if you know somebody, we should ask.
Yeah, I mean, but we are waiting to make the big ask until we have a nice package of information that's discreet, that has like, here's the step by step that will lead to the building. And I know it's frustrating, so everybody needs to keep their spirits up and their prayers up, because what's frustrating for me is to have to keep going back to people who ask, how's the church coming along? And the answer is always the same. It's been the same answer for 5 years. We're getting going. Today we face the same thing. How much money do we need? How much money do we have? We've received and spent several $100,000.
We received.
And we're still starting, and we got, so all the plannings that finally approved, that
nobody.
it's frustrating.
There's 5 bureaucracies, and every one of them, his job is obfuscation, especially WSSC. The water.
Not to go into too much of a tangent, but the main point being is that each one of these steps that we've already gone through successfully, and we have successfully passed many steps and milestones, but each one of those has been 5 figures. Right? I mean, how much did it cost to pay every rule, like for all the plans? All of these are necessary steps, but none of them results in anything tangible on the ground. And all of the tangible changes on the that are at the site, to the untrained eye, are incremental at best, and that's frustrating. Even though we know that it's important, it's necessary, it almost feels like a test from God, really, to test our patience, and to make sure that we know that we are not going to. It's the Lord that builds the church, so we'll keep our prayers up and keep. And that's why it's so important, these visits from the icon, and for us to keep remembering that the Lord doesn't forget these things. You look at the life of the icon, that's one icon, 750 years of protecting. I mean, the Kursk icon is at work for us right now, along with the Hawaiian icon and all the people who pray, all of our friends. So there's no reason to lose hope, but I understand that it can be frustrating. But let's keep our prayers up and our hopes alive, rich friends on speed dial.
And St. Nicholas, we're celebrating St. Nicholas a week from tomorrow, and a week from Tuesday. And so please, you can include him in the celebration. I wanted to point out one other thing. Ken Michael of NAI Michael
No true stats.
is the condominium association manager for the Christian Brothers. And so when we found out about the chapel, we went and met with him. And John Peter says, well, good luck with that. And so we went to the meeting, and he wanted to see what our vision was for the place. Now, we had a fellow here named Joseph John, who was a reader, and he was also an artist. And so we asked him to draw a perspective, a vision for the property. Above the lamp there, behind the utensils, is that picture that he drew. So we took, now that has nothing to do with our current vision, but the point is we took that to Mr. Michael and he said, oh yeah, I see what you're talking about. Why don't you ask the Christian Brothers to donate it? So now, I want to say this. He's a hard-nosed businessman. He had some nicknames which I won't want to repeat him, but he had some nicknames as a hard-nosed businessman. And for him to say you should ask him to give it to you was a miracle in and of itself. So when we went and asked the Christian Brothers, they were in danger of being fined by the Prince George's Historic Commission for demolition by neglect. The place had sat there for 40 years doing nothing. And so